My subject is the Palace of the Porphyrogenitus. The word Porphyrogenitus literally means born in the purple, which suggests that the bearer of this name is born to a reigning emperor or empress. The term became common in 10th century during the reign of Constantine VII Flavius Porphyrogenitus, when his mother gave birth to him in the Purple Room to legitimize his regency. After Constantine VII, the term was used commonly, especially during Palaiologos dynasty. The importance of purple was the purple was called as the imperial color in Byzantine Empire due to in textile or in marble work, it was really rare to find that imperial purple color to color the room or whatever you are coloring. So it was really rare, and that's why it was called imperial purple. It was most often than not was reserved for imperial purposes. Due to this, it is unknown that whether the palace was named after Constantine VII or, as more commonly suggested by historians, Constantine Palaiologos, son of the late Emperor Michael VIII Palaiologos. He was the third and the last son of the Michael VIII Palaiologos. However, since it is assumed that the palace was built either during 12th or 13th century, it is more likely to be named after Constantine Palaiologos. This is a photograph taken by Irina Andreescu Treadgold, the wife of the famous Byzantine historian Warren Treadgold, who also believes that the palace was built for Michael VIII's son Constantine. The palace is built in the northwestern part of the old Constantinople. It is located adjacent to the Thessalian walls of Edirne Kapı and Eğri Kapı. The palace was originally built as a part of greater palace complex of Blakarni. We know that because historically it was recorded that there was connections to the Blakarni palace and it was used as imperial residence, or it was used as higher up, the people who are close to the king's residence. It is believed that the palace was constructed in later 13th century or early 14th century as a part of greater palace complex of Blakarni during the Palaiologos dynasty. From historical sources, it is known that the palace was used for imperial purposes, such as the house of Andronikos III during Andronikos II's reign, because of because the palace is very close to the imperial residence at that time. Also, we know that the palace was a really important location during the Byzantine Civil War of 1314 and 1317. The Byzantine Civil War of 14th century was fought between John VI Palaiologos and John VII Palaiologos, and the John Costacanizas, and the palace was a key location that signified sovereignty over the Byzantine Empire, and it was very often fought over, and many bloodshed on the courts of the palace. This is how the palace would look when it was relevant, by Antoine Halbert. History of the palace during Byzantine Empire. Towards the end of Palaiologan reign, the palace was used as the imperial residence of the Byzantine Empire. Since the palace was built neighboring the city walls, the palace is severely damaged during Ottoman conquest of Constantinople. The palace was used for a wide array of purposes under Ottoman rule. During 16th and 17th centuries, the former palace was established as a zoo for the Ottoman ruler. And in Sultan's zoo, it was said to be there were many exotic animals, such as lions or giraffes or elephants. So there was a very prominent Italian traveler who, when he visited Istanbul, the Constantinople, he wanted to see a giraffe because he never had seen anything like that before. He had only heard the tales of a very, very long animal. So when he finally got the permission of the Sultan, he visited the menagerie, and to his misfortune, the giraffe was recently had passed. So he asked the workers to dug out the giraffe's grave in order to see a giraffe with his real eyes. In the 17th century, the zoo was abandoned and the palace was used as a brothel. Jewish families from Thessaloniki was brought to the city and were settled on the grounds near the palace. On 18th century, the fate of the former palace took a sharp turn, and the palace rose to prominence again when it was established as a pottery workshop by the Grand Vizier Ibrahim Pasha. There was also a story of the world's largest uncut diamond, the spoonmaker's diamond, kaşıkçı elması. It was said that the diamond was found in the garbage of the former palace. Not the garbage of the former palace, but the garbage that the former palace had become. The tiles produced in these workshops were very popular during 18th century. They were known as Tekfur ÇINILERI or Tekfur tiles, and the first building that was decorated with these tiles was the Ali Pasha Mosque. When they were relevant, these tiles were so popular that they actually rivaled the İznik tiles. This is a photograph of a tile that was produced in Tekfur Sarayı. Even though the tiles were popular, the palace didn't last long as a tile workshop. The palace was established as a glass factory at the beginning of 18th century. Due to a fire happened at 1864, only the walls left from the palace. All interior decorations were razed. Unfortunately, after the Turkish Revolution, the palace was left to rot and it became a dumpster. First modern restorations took place between 1955 and 1917. The restorations were led by a female Turkish archaeologist, but I forgot her name. Sorry, forgive me because of that, please. Attempts to bring one of the only Byzantine buildings that survived to today were resulted as the former palace being established as a museum today. The palace was a large the architecture of the palace. The palace was a large three-story building located between the inner and outer fortifications of the northern corner of the Theodosian walls. The ground floor is an arcade with 4 arcs, which opens into a courtyard overlooked by 5 large windows on the first floor. The top floor of the structure projects above the walls and has windows on all 4 sides. On the east is the remnant of a balcony. The roof and all of the floors of the structure have disappeared. The remaining walls are elaborately decorated in geometric designs using red brick and white marble, typical of the late Byzantine period. This is a photograph from the walls before the restoration took place. And also we know that the biggest part of the palace, the part that was the palace was known, was its roof, its wooden dome. Its dome was so big, and it was made out of wood. That's why the fire was able to destroy whole palace. And we know from the maps that was drawn in 1420 and 1520 or 1620, something like that, the palace was really big when in the area that it was built. The palace actually overshadowed everything in that area. Thanks for listening to me.